Lu Feng, who had defeated all the high-level point mages, immediately invited Cao Dao to leave the place. The man admitted that it was difficult to level up there, so they needed to relocate. Cao Dao was certainly surprised by the request. Knowing that they would face the final boss, Cao Dao wanted to know if the man's status would still be far from level 21. Lu Feng assured Cao Dao that he would find out later, but at that moment, he needed 2 buffs. Cao Dao was surprised once again and became irritated. She complained that she came to do PR work and not to be a tool. However, in the end, they both moved to the Guillotine Valley. While waiting, Lu Feng explained about Cao Dao's PR. He said that at 721 degrees Celsius in an airtight container, combining a large amount of Ko and H2O would react with an appropriate catalyst. Lu Feng explained the rest, and Cao Dao immediately interrupted. Now she wondered why the man was helping her with PR so diligently instead of being busy looking for bosses. However, that's when Lu Feng heard a sound and immediately asked Cao Dao to be quiet because what they were waiting for had arrived. They both heard the sound of horse hooves, which turned out to be the city boss, the Headless Rider. Lu Feng then said that he wanted 5 buffs: Divine Blessing, the Silence of Light, the Fury of Darkness, the Vortex of Power, and the Rhythm of Thunder. Cao Dao was still too worried because Lu Feng was going to fight the city boss, the Headless Rider. However, Cao Dao still gave Lu Feng the buffs he wanted, even though she reminded him that even if he added 100 buffs, he wouldn't be able to compete with the Headless Rider. Cao Dao asked him to be careful, but Lu Feng just patted Cao Dao's head and asked her not to worry. He promised to repay Cao Dao's help many times over. Cao Dao repeated her statement once again and reminded Lu Feng that he would die if caught by the Headless Rider. Lu Feng instead asked Cao Dao to calmly do her homework and not hesitate to ask him if she had any questions. Meanwhile, the Headless Rider, aware of Lu Feng's presence, became very angry. He would imprison all of them who dared to enter the forbidden area without permission. The Headless Rider began to swing his weapon. He tried to strike Lu Feng while still on his horse. Meanwhile, Lu Feng quickly dodged, and the Headless Rider swiftly protected himself with a shield. Lu Feng, trying to attack with his sword, couldn't penetrate the monster's defense at all. Cao Dao, watching from a distance, immediately realized that the Headless Rider had thick blood and high defense, while Lu Feng's level was too low to break through his defense. Cao Dao wondered if Lu Feng would be okay. On the other hand, Lu Feng confidently asked the Headless Rider if that headless idiot could hit him. Cao Dao knew that Lu Feng was deliberately provoking as hard as he could because he wanted to provoke the Headless Rider. The monster was indeed provoked, and with his strength, he shook the ground using his horse's hooves. This forced Lu Feng to step back. Lu Feng then told Cao Dao to do her homework and not look at him because the monster couldn't defeat him. Cao Dao agreed, but she was also sure that Lu Feng wouldn't be able to penetrate the Headless Rider's protective shield, and he would be the one to lose in the end. Lu Feng casually said that was why he brought Cao Dao there. The little girl didn't expect to be manipulated by Lu Feng like that. On the other hand, the Headless Rider began to chase Lu Feng with his horse. Instead, Lu Feng challenged the monster to catch him. The Headless Rider, who kept running, ended up trapped between the rocks, making him unable to move. Cao Dao didn't expect the Headless Rider to be trapped. Lu Feng took advantage of the monster's anger and let it get trapped in the rocks. Cao Dao could see how cruel Lu Feng was there. At that moment, Lu Feng asked Cao Dao to release his Fire Pillar magic skill, and the little girl did it immediately. Cao Dao, while doing it, then told Lu Feng that if that final compensation didn't satisfy her, she would burn him afterward. Cao Dao didn't expect Lu Feng to use her, a little child, to burn the monster to its last drop of blood. For her, it was a despicable adult act that Lu Feng had to redeem. Lu Feng explained that there was nothing cruel in a battle as long as they won. He finally asked Cao Dao to continue until he could remove the Headless Rider's protection. The little girl felt relieved when she finally finished her PR. That's when Lu Feng took the opportunity to attack. For him, the monster was very naive to think of leaving at a time like that. Lu Feng succeeded in defeating the monster, which raised him from level 17 to level 19. Cao Dao laughed because Lu Feng also made a mistake at that time. Although he managed to defeat the boss, he wouldn't have time to reach level 21. That's when Lu Feng asked if Cao Dao had ever heard of teleportation ability. At that moment, Cao Dao heard another horse hoof sound, which surprised her because there was another Headless Rider there. Cao Dao didn't expect there to be another world boss there. She suspected that Lu Feng used the light seeds planted in his weapon to summon other world bosses. Lu Feng casually asked the little girl not to act like she had never seen that world before. He asked her to keep walking at that moment and immediately attack the monster again. Lu Feng swung his sword, then stabbed it and ended by slashing it again. Thus, the last boss of the Deadhead City was successfully killed. After the mission was completed, all awakened ones would be teleported in 1 minute. After everyone left, Cao Dao felt very tired. She was relieved that everything was over. On the other hand, Lu Feng got the Headless Knight's protective shield. Seeing that, Cao Dao didn't expect Lu Feng to get an S-ranked rare item with almost 0 explosion level. Lu Feng even cleaned it and treated the shadow world as his personal storage space. Lu Feng then said that he could only install it at level 21. If he succeeded, then the shadow world disaster level could increase the survival rate of all guild members by at least 20%. Lu Feng then asked Cao Dao to leave, and the little girl asked to be waited for. 24 hours before the shadow world arrived, there was a fight between two people in an arena. A woman delivered her final blow, which successfully defeated her opponent. It was announced that the ultimate winner was Luozhu, who had won 17 times in a row. Her victory at that time also marked the 17th challenge to her family's name. The woman was said to have created a miracle by bringing the fallen Luo family back to one of the top 4 respected families in Europe. They congratulated Luozhu, and cheers were heard in the arena. The woman walking down could feel her phone ringing. She looked at it and hesitated because the liar had contacted her again 31 times. She admitted that the person who lied to her was very strong, but she disliked liars. On the other side of the room, a group of people dressed in all black are getting ready. The boss asks them to arm themselves because they are going to carry out a big job that day. Suddenly, Zhao Haitian bursts in through the door with a kick. He curses as he finally finds the boss and shoots. This causes everyone to panic and flee. Finally, Zhao Haitian fires a bazooka, hoping they will all go to hell. A big explosion occurs, and the man throws away his weapon. Zhao Haitian is very angry because the scammer who sells health products is deliberately targeting the elderly. Of course, he won't let it happen. Meanwhile, in a meeting building, Anew greets everyone. It is an honor for her that they have all come to their company's 5th-generation nanomedical robot press conference. She then reveals that with the advancement of science and technology, nanomedical technology has always been the focus of public attention. Moreover, a new generation of nanodoctors that can be used at home has emerged, beneficial for both the elderly and singles. However, before Anew formally introduces the product, she asks security to remove someone from there. The masked man can only rebel as 2 security guards take him away. Another woman didn't expect Anew to recognize the man no matter how he appeared. She suspects that Anew became strange after being harassed for a long time. 3 hours before the Shadow World disaster, Lu Feng is chatting with his colleagues through a computer. Ziya sees Lu Feng looking tired. Lu Feng admits that he has just returned from an important conference and is in a hurry. He immediately warns Cao Dao not to play with his phone because what he is going to talk about is a matter of life and death, so they all have to listen carefully. Cao Dao defends himself that he has been busy with various lessons lately and only gets to play with his phone on weekends like this. Cao Dao becomes annoyed because Lu Feng only blames him when Ling Yu doesn't listen carefully. Ling Yu, an emotional killer, just stares straight ahead. However, seeing Lu Feng continue to stare at him, Cao Dao admits his mistake and understands. After that, Lu Feng starts talking about the core issue. He says that in 3 hours, they will all be forcibly teleported to the Shadow World randomly. This time, the world's disaster level with the best luck is level B, while level A is standard, and level C is unlucky. Everyone responds differently, some are worried, but some appear calm. Meanwhile, Lu Feng says the first thing they need to do is not to leave him more than 50 meters away. Then second, they must guard the fortress, which he considers safe, with the highest level of vigilance. After stating these 2 things, Lu Feng asks if anyone wants to ask anything that night. At that moment, Ziya immediately asks about 3 other people who should have joined them but haven't shown up yet. She wants to know if that means they won't be sent to the same shadow world as them. Lu Feng replies that life and death are fate and their fate may not have arrived yet. At that moment, Cao Dao sarcastically says he will trust him, who is a very bad adult. Lu Feng asks Cao Dao, who is still a child, not to interfere. On the other hand, Zhao Haitian realizes that only a few minutes are left before the disaster-level Shadow World arrives. However, the man who is busy smoking suddenly receives a notification saying that he has successfully joined the Breaking Dawn Guild. The man panics and thinks he pressed the wrong button earlier. He is angry with himself because as he ages, he often makes mistakes. On the other hand, Luozhu also receives information that she has also joined Lu Feng's guild. On the other hand, Anya, who is in her office, immediately realizes that Lu Feng has attacked the Shadow World system, forcing her to join his guild. She knows that in that world there is indeed a system that can make hackers blacken the Shadow World. Anya wonders if Lu Feng is alone or if there are superpowers behind him. Meanwhile, time continues to run out towards teleportation, leaving only 10 seconds. Cao Dao feels Lu Feng is very evil because he has made them join his guild, so now they have no way to stop in 5 minutes. Lu Feng casually responds that he is flattered. He then reminds them that forced teleportation to the Shadow World will soon begin and asks everyone to prepare. Time continues to run out, leaving only 1 second. In his heart, Lu Feng promises to bring back all his team members alive this time. As time finally runs out, the forced teleportation to the Shadow World finally occurs. Lu Feng and all his team members are now in the Shadow World. Luozu was upset with Lu Feng, whom she considered a shameless cheat for resorting to such methods. Meanwhile, Zhao Haitian couldn't believe he would encounter Lu Feng again. Anya urged everyone to stop arguing and focus on the task at hand. Liu Seijin was puzzled by the sight before them. Anya then explained that it was a level S disaster shadow world, a city of ice and fire. She had heard someone mention the city before but never imagined it existed. Lu Feng quickly confirmed and explained that the center of the shadow world was called the half-frozen, half-burning circle of death. This circle would continue to expand over time, and the shadow world would be destroyed when the entire city was covered by the circle of death. That's why Lu Feng wanted to unite them all, because the place was a legendary shadow world. Suddenly, something happened, and everyone rushed to run as the circle of death was about to expand. Amid the panic, everyone ran, while Lu Feng and others appeared calm, standing still. They didn't expect that there would be many awakeners in the shadow world as well. However, Lu Feng casually remarked that it was a pity because everyone didn't understand that the more they tried to escape death, the closer they would get to it. For Lu Feng, even in the shadow world, they must not give up seeking life. That's when Anya asked about Lu Feng's plan. He revealed that to conquer the shadow world, they first had to understand what was happening in it. The city of ice and fire was highly technological. Its founder was someone named Heart of Steel, a mad inventor who continuously modified his body with technology to pursue power. But when he integrated an extreme energy chip, he lost control and was consumed by it. Heart of Steel eventually created the ice and fire that covered the entire city. So, he was the one who caused the catastrophe. Ziyu then concluded that the only way to stop the disaster was to kill Heart of Steel. The woman immediately asked Lu Feng where Heart of Steel was hiding. He then said that Heart of Steel was at the heart of the Circle of Death. Liu Seijin was naturally curious about where the heart of the Circle of Death was, which seemed almost impossible to find. They would have difficulty entering it even if they found it. Lu Feng said they had no choice. Luozu admitted disbelief in the trap of millennium reincarnation, so she invited Anya to find their way. Luozu was turning away when Lu Feng stopped her. He apologized because Luozu couldn't leave him. Luozu naturally wanted to know what he meant. Lu Feng then explained that in the shadow world, no one could leave within a distance of more than 50 meters. Of course, Luozu wanted to know why. He then admitted that only that way could they survive. Luozu then asked again what if she needed to leave while evading the man in front of her. Lu Feng didn't hesitate to say he would hold Luozu back while tying her up to protect her. Luozu, of course, became excited and asked him not to underestimate her. Lu Feng admitted he never intended to underestimate her. At that moment, Anya immediately intervened and asked them to stop and no longer shout. Anya then said that to deal with such a critical situation, the only thing to do was to enter the ice and fire circle with Lu Feng. Even if he turned out to be deceiving them, Anya promised not to let him go. Finally, Luozu agreed to follow her words. After that, Lu Feng, who was observing, immediately asked Cao Dao not to fool around at a time like this. Cao Dao, who was playing a game, said he was just having fun. Moreover, Zhao Haitian, who was also nearby, was enjoying himself with wine. Zhao Haitian even asked if they wanted to fight because he would entertain them. At that moment, Lu Feng walked back, reassuring them that he wouldn't let anyone die no matter how powerful the enemy would be. Lu Feng walked toward the fire zone, making Anya curious as to why he chose the terrifying fire over the ice. Lu Feng explained that ice could slow down their movements, making it impossible for him to protect them all, so he didn't want to take that risk. However, the fire made everyone feel the heat. Ziya, who was also feeling hot, wanted to know if they could penetrate the dangerous sea of fire. Lu Feng assured them not to worry because he had a plan. Shortly after, from a distance, several monsters began to approach. Without hesitation, Lu Feng immediately attacked them with the sword in his hand. Once he defeated them all, Anya realized that the monsters had fire avoidance chips that could make someone immune to fire for 3 minutes. She didn't expect all those monsters to be technological products. On the other hand, Anya was delighted because, with those chips, they could safely enter the fire zone. Lu Feng quickly confirmed and reminded them that the Circle of Death would spread every 30 minutes. There were 4 more spreads until the Circle of Death would engulf the entire shadow world. Cao Dao immediately concluded that the shadow world would be destroyed in 2 hours, and a fire chip would be effective for 3 minutes. That meant the 8 of them would need 320 fire avoidance chips. Hearing this calculation, Zhao Haitian now declared that the game was over and it was time for them to get serious. Cao Dao was understandably upset because Lu Feng callously allowed a child like him to become a tool. On the other hand, Luozu warned them all about the arrival of other monsters. Lu Feng immediately asked Cao Dao to release a buff for the group. Once Cao Dao did it, everyone quickly advanced to attack the group of monsters. Zhao Haitian, who had been drinking wine, became so enthusiastic about fighting the exciting monsters while attacking them with an axe in his hand. On the other hand, Anya also attacked with her fists. Meanwhile, Linghu began shooting with her hands. She also asked Lu Feng to give her a new target for her attack. Meanwhile, Liu Sejin, who had transformed his body into a fierce black beast, also began attacking the monsters and easily defeating them. Eventually, the little man transformed into a human in a state of exhaustion. That's when Ziya immediately protected Liu Sejin from the monster's attack. Lu Feng reminded everyone that 15 minutes before each spread, the monsters that were successfully blown up would surely be replaced by new ones, so he asked everyone to manage their energy well. Lu Feng and his group continued walking until 6 minutes before the next spread. His members asked how much farther they had to go. Anya realized they were about to be late to gather the fire avoidance chips, which were still 30 short of the total needed. Lu Feng casually then pulled out a crystal decoy, which was a level C item that could attract specific monsters. He then broke the crystal with his hand, and that's when a huge lion-faced synthetic beast appeared. Lu Feng was pleased to see the final wave of fire chips had arrived. He was confident that unexpected good things would come along with it. The monstrous lion-faced synthetic beast began to attack Lu Feng and his companions. At that moment, the man swiftly cut off the monster's wrist, successfully breaking its leg and subduing it. This action caused the monster to roar in pain, prompting Lu Feng to immediately ask Ziya to act as she had been taught. Ziya quickly understood and, with her strength, lifted several cars around them. Ziya deployed all those cars to advance toward the monster and caused a significant explosion. Then, Luo Zhu took turns attacking the monster with her sword, and with one swift strike, they managed to defeat it. Finally, they were able to obtain 50 pieces of the fire avoidance chips, and Anya felt relieved because they had successfully achieved their goal. On the other hand, Luo Feng expressed nostalgia as he could finally fight alongside Luo Zhu again after so long. Deep inside, Luo Zhu felt annoyed because the man brought up reincarnation again. The man casually handed over a ring he had just found to Luo Zhu, but she firmly refused because such a ring couldn't be given away just like that. Lu Feng then explained that the ring was specifically for sword experts, reducing the cooling process by 50%. Lu Feng was puzzled by what the woman was thinking as he handed her the ring. Luo Zhu didn't expect to misunderstand and overthink, gazing at the ring in her hand. Suddenly, a voice was heard, saying that they didn't expect a small guild like Lu Feng's to have good tricks. The voice made everyone turn around, and they saw a man holding Lingyu hostage. The man thanked Lu Feng and the others for their hard work and asked them to hand over the fire avoidance chips they had collected. Of course, Luo Zhu refused and asked him to release Lingyu. Lingyu explained that they were the Black Mist, one of the top 10 killer guilds in the Dark World. The man added that he had destroyed countless guilds. He asked Lu Feng and the others not to resist and to hand over the chips if they didn't want to die. Ziya was worried and asked Lu Feng what they should do. The man then asked Anya to give him all the chips. She immediately did so, and Lu Feng quickly followed onto the building where Lingyu and the criminals were. Lu Feng then made sure again that they would hand over Lingyu to him once he handed over the fire avoidance chips to the Black Mist. The man agreed. He also reminded Lu Feng that they were surrounded by Black Mist's subordinates and no one would be able to save them there. Lu Feng admitted he had heard that the Black Mist Guild would never leave someone alive, but he tried to believe, so he allowed them to check the chips first. The Black Mist boss asked Lu Feng to hand over all the chips to him. Lu Feng then asked why they had to rush because he might lie if the Black Mist didn't check them thoroughly first. At that moment, Lu Feng began to count down from 3, 2, and 1. The man finally destroyed the chip in his hand, asking Black Mist to check it. Anya saw the signal and asked everyone to destroy their fire avoidance chips immediately. Right at that moment, the expansion of the death circle began. All of the Black Mist's subordinates suddenly panicked as fire attacked them. They begged for help with their burning bodies. Meanwhile, the shield protected Lingyu, which Cao Dao recognized as the power of the Guardian Shield. Soon realized that Lu Feng had left a protective mark on Lingyu, allowing him to directly share his fire avoidance status. In her heart, Anya could see how terrifying Lu Feng could be. She didn't expect the man to use the expansion of the death circle to kill their enemies. Anya was grateful that Lu Feng was their teammate and not their enemy. After that, Lu Feng asked them all to follow him as he would lead them to the real world of death. As they walked, buildings began to crumble as they were engulfed in flames. Meanwhile, Lu Feng continued to show them the way and reminded them not to fall behind. Liu Sejin praised the extraordinary boss because, in the crumbling world, Lu Feng could lead as if he knew the way very well. Lu Feng casually admitted that he had gathered information for over 3,000 years, including a complete map of that shadow world. At that moment, Ziya realized that Luo Zhu was keeping her distance from the boss and concluded that the girl didn't trust Lu Feng. Cao Dao acknowledged that Lu Feng was indeed powerful, but he was also very mysterious. Meanwhile, Luo Zhu was a gentle yet hateful goddess, so she had to be wary of people like Lu Feng whose origins were unknown and had been reincarnated for thousands of years. However, amid their journey, they all could feel a significant vibration. Luo Zhu naturally wanted to know what it was, and Lu Feng quickly urged them not to make any noise. That's when they all saw the doomed patrol troops walking past them. Lu Feng and the others watched as the Doom Patrol noticed another guild group making noise. The group panicked and prepared to attack with gunfire. Of course, the monsters easily intercepted it with their large hands. A guild member attempted to attack with a bazooka aimed directly at the head of the Doom Patrol. They hoped to send the monster to hell with a precise shot to its head. However, the monster felt no pain or injury whatsoever. The humans didn't realize that the Doom Patrols were immortal monsters. Meanwhile, the Doom Patrol clenched their fists and struck the ground very hard. Ziyu was naturally panicked seeing the terrifying monsters. Lu Feng explained that the Doom Patrol indeed had great strength and also possessed undead healing abilities. These monsters were scavengers in that shadow world, and with the power they had at that moment, they would surely die if faced head-on. Anya wanted to know how they could defeat the final boss if they couldn't even defeat the Doom Patrol. As one of the Doom Patrols glanced over, Lu Feng immediately asked them all not to move. Lu Feng then said he would distract the Doom Patrol so everyone could quickly go to the center of the death circle, and he would follow later. However, Luozu quickly intervened because it would be too dangerous to move alone, and she wanted to follow the man. However, Lu Feng quickly attacked Luozu's neck, causing her to faint instantly. This surprised everyone, and Lu Feng quickly handed Luozu over to everyone to take care of her. Seeing Lu Feng's departure, Cao Dao asked him not to die. Lu Feng casually said that he had been reincarnated for thousands of years and now it was hard for him to die. At that moment, Lu Feng, gripping her sword, immediately ran towards the Doom Patrol to divert their attention. Lu Feng jumped from one building to another towards the Doom Patrol's location. Meanwhile, Lu Feng's subordinates quickly left the scene. However, Liu Seijin briefly noticed and saw Lu Feng being surrounded by those monsters. Ziyu assured that Lu Feng would surely be fine and they shouldn't waste the opportunity that Lu Feng had tried so hard for. Zhao Haitian, who was also paying attention, promised to drink with Lu Feng later if he managed to survive. On the other hand, Lu Feng was ready with a sword in each hand. He quickly climbed up to attack the Doom Patrol's eyes. In his heart, Lu Feng knew that the Doom Patrol would recover quickly, but for him, 10 seconds would be enough. The Doom Patrol began attacking randomly once he couldn't see anymore. Lu Feng quickly dodged and found the right opportunity to climb onto the head of the Doom Patrol. This caused the monster's attack to hit another Doom Patrol. For Lu Feng, it was the perfect moment to strike his comrade. After that, Lu Feng immediately retreated from the scene and let the Doom Patrol kill each other. He tried to reach a building and almost succeeded at that moment. However, Luozu grabbed his hand and asked him to hold on tight and never let go again. Once Lu Feng was lifted and sat on the rooftop of that building, he immediately scolded Luozu who was there. The woman then said that she was not a weak woman who needed protection. She chose to fight alongside the person important to her and protect each other. Lu Feng was curious about the phrase important person, and Luozu quickly corrected that it meant a teammate. At that moment, memories of the past emerged showing how Lu Feng and Luozu always fought together defeating monsters. This memory made Lu Feng laugh, leaving Luozu wondering what the man was laughing about. However, at that moment, an attack came, and Lu Feng quickly rushed to protect Luozu. They both fell onto the rooftop of the building with Lu Feng positioned on top of Luozu's body. The Doom Patrol was launching an attack on them, and Lu Feng swiftly carried Luozu's body. The woman apologized as it seemed she couldn't offer much help. Yet if she hadn't arrived, Lu Feng might have found another way to survive. Lu Feng didn't mind, as Luozu had always stood by his side, even in times of crisis. To him, Luozu had always been his goddess, but he hoped next time she would listen to him. However, Luozu immediately denied being Lu Feng's goddess who had reincarnated for thousands of years. On the other hand, the members who had been running were relieved to see Lu Feng finally arrive with Luozu. They were glad to see the man safe, while Luozu whined to be put down, and Lu Feng casually said he had simply forgotten. Ziyu then said she had thought the two had chosen to flee. Zhao Haitian instead suggested they should get married if they truly liked each other. Luozu asked everyone not to talk nonsense because she had no relationship whatsoever with Lu Feng. Anya casually remarked that Luozu, who had never been in a relationship before, might be easily tempted by a lewd person like Lu Feng, regardless of his status. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble again, indicating a landslide was happening there. Ziyu was confused after realizing that the landslide was blocking their path. Cao Dao was puzzled because there was no way to move forward and the landslide would continue. They had no choice but to turn back. Shortly afterward, the Doom Patrol appeared on the other side. Cao Dao began to panic because they had no way to go. Started to cry, thinking they would die. Lu Feng said he wouldn't let them all die there.